Hi there, and welcome to the Diamond Report. For Sunday, January 15th, 2017, this is your host, Doug Diamond. I thought we'd start out with this really great Ben Garrison cartoon, the mainstream mediasaurus. Don't pay attention to that fake news, listen to me. You got the guy over here with his laptop looking at alt media, and the dinosaur, while he's falling apart, is trying to convince the guy not to watch or look at alt media. Too funny. Love Ben Garrison. Graphics.com. All right, let's jump right into the news. Let's start out with Alex Jones's emergency message to President Trump to deter martial law. Bear with me on this. It's not a very long clip, but it's really good.
Mr. President, this is Alex Jones filing this emergency intelligence report to you, your staff, and the public. I know that you're fully aware of most of the facets I'm about to break down, but I'd like to codify them for you and put them in some perspective. First off, as you know, 2 months before the federal election, which you won in a landslide in November of last year, I came out and said that they are planning to federalize the elections via Homeland Security to be able to hack into the computer systems and steal the election from you. Now, I did not reveal my sources at the time, and I'm not going to reveal them now, but obviously you've probably got some of the same sources. You came out and basically broke down the fact they were planning to try to rig the election and steal it because you'd witnessed what they'd done previously, stealing the nomination from Bernie Sanders and trying to steal it from you, only because you fought and rallied the American people valiantly were we able to secure your nomination, which you again won by a landslide. They began to say that was illegitimate. Right up through the election, they were preparing to go after your electors. They were preparing for recounts. All of those blew up in Hillary and Soros's face. You got more votes with the recounts, and she had more electors go away from her than you did. You had 2, she had 5. I'm only giving background here so that your staff, I know you understand what's happening, but so your crew, who may not have their mind in the full battle space, understands the full magnitude, Mr. President. Now let me break down the latest serious threats. They have clearly been preparing to federalize. They tried to federalize. They tried to hack into 5 state computer systems like West Virginia and Georgia. They got caught. That's been in the news. According to Bev Harris, who is, by the way, a liberal Democrat, but a top election fraud expert, HBO documentary, Hacking Democracy, 5 states, evidence showed, were stolen. They tried to steal 5 or 6 others, but Hillary did steal 5 from you. So, past behavior is the most important indicator of future behavior, as you know, sir, as a CEO. They've been trying to steal this from the beginning. They failed to steal it because your tsunami win was so big. They are now moving forward, and they officially federalized 2 weeks ago. Now, if they're leaving office, why does that really matter? Well, it's still unconstitutional. But see, if they try to declare a civil emergency or a national emergency, activate groups around the country rioting, which they're preparing to do, and they create a bunch of hysteria, they could, with some plausible cover, at least to some people, even though it's unconstitutional, claim that there was a suspension or a postponement of the election results until a new election could be held or investigations could take place, while they further demonized you and rolled forward with their hoaxes and disinformation. When they, 2 weeks ago, or I guess 11 days ago to be technical, came out with Homeland Security and federalized the elections publicly outside of congressional power, just by executive fiat from Obama, that was the big telltale sign that they're seriously considering trying to overturn this election or postpone it, and then have the new election under their full control, which of course will be fraudulent. There's precedent for this in other countries. This is what they're publicly pushing for. Now you see Rosie O'Donnell, who of course is a failure and a joke, but she's on the inside with the Democrats, coming out and saying she wants martial law and the election postponed or suspended. CNN's been putting out the talking point of a national or civil emergency to do the same thing. And now we see the doddering Congressman John Lewis coming out and saying you are not legitimate and the Russians did give you this victory with no evidence but their fake dossiers and PP-gate. Now, we can all say, well, they're discredited, it's not going to carry them over. Yes, the public's woken up to them, Mr. President, but they're still in executive control and might try some type of martial law scenario. We now see the general over the riot troops for your inauguration in 6 days being removed from command on the day of the event. In his words, in the middle of a battle. It is very, very suspicious. While Soros and others have spent tens of millions to bus in, upwards of 100,000 people who are openly saying they want to shut down whitehouse.gov, physically encircle the White House, not let you enter it, and shut down the parade route and basically riot in an act of revolution against our Democratic Republic in the election. So that's my basic boil down. There's a lot of other facets. Obviously, it's a perfect storm to come after you because the pile of garbage MSM is falling apart. The dinosaur media knows they have basically no viewers, no credibility. So why shouldn't they work with criminal elements of the rogue deep state and rogue elements of the CIA to come out against you and try to do this and try to block you? Even if they're unable to block you, which I'd say it's about an 80% chance they'll be unable to, this discrediting is in preparation for impeachment proceedings that they admit in the New York Times are planning to launch soon after you're in. So my message is this. I first predicted this, I first laid this out, and I have the sources. I've been proven correct. I know you have your own sources as well, sir. You must go on the offensive now and come out about the Office of Personnel Management hack that was 14 to 20 million names, true dossiers, spies, the entire system rolled up by the communist Chinese. The biggest hack in history, the biggest failure. A lot of experts believe it was on purpose and Obama compromising us as part of his larger sabotage plan. I would come out in a press conference and I would say they're the ones distracting from what they did. I know you've tweeted it, but sir, we need you at the pulpit bringing this up to everybody at the lectern to dominate these enemies, foreign and domestic. I would also in that same press conference lay out the articles where the Saudi Arabians bragged and the Communist Chinese bragged in their own newspapers. You can have blow-ups of it like they do in Congress and show where they bragged. One headline, Saudi royalty brags they gave 20% of Hillary's war chest. You can show all these and say, foreign powers openly gave her money. The entire media ganged up on me and the American people. The whole power structure, and still they failed. And then they claimed the Russians that had the GDP of Italy supposedly did this because in their report, some radio network called RT and a TV network called RT with barely any coverage in the U.S. was critical of Hillary some. Big deal. They are accusing me and the American people of what they themselves have been doing. My election is part of a global awakening to globalism and people wanting nationalism. This is Americanism, not globalism. And the forces trying to block me from getting into office are the true outsiders. They are the true espionage experts. They have done everything they've accused me of publicly. And I ask the American people to understand that this is an attack on you and our system of government by people that are illegitimate, like this congressman and others, because they are illegitimate. You could finish with this. 900 House seats in the states, won. Record number of House seats in the Congress, the Senate, record number of governors. Was all of that the Russians? No. All of that was Hillary and the horrible campaign and the corruption and the fact that people are sick of the establishment and the fact that the establishment would run Hillary and run Jeb Bush again showed their disconnect. So no matter what you do, and then you can put this message out to them, no matter what you do, old establishment, you're going out the door. So good luck trying to stop me and the American people. Mr. President, they're planning a stand down in D.C. in 6 days. They are a pile of garbage. They're escalating the frauds and hoaxes. They're pushing for martial law. They've already federalized elections, as I said they would do. You've been proven right as well. Please take action. To your staff that thinks they can cozy up, and not all of them, but some of them can cozy up to MSM and play nice, as I've told your crew and as I've told many others, they're never going to stop coming after you or the American people until we put them in their place, sir. I'm Alex Jones for Infowars.com, issuing this emergency message to President-elect Trump and to the rest of the American people and the world. This is an incredibly historic and epic time to be alive, and I thank God, sir, for your leadership and your courage and your instincts. We are truly blessed. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
So there you have it. In that less than 10 minutes, Alex does an excellent job of breaking down what's happened to get us to this point and then what's likely to happen, not only this week leading up to inauguration on Friday the 20th, but even beyond, when they call for Trump's impeachment and so forth. The plan is already there. They want to get rid of this guy the moment he takes office, and if they can't do it then, they're going to do it as soon as they possibly can. Okay, here's a quick article here from Activist Post, a really great website I highly recommend. Planned civil unrest of America perfectly on schedule. Here's the shocking truth. I'm just going to read this first paragraph, and you can visit the article and read it for yourself if you like. Look around you. People everywhere in America are sure of what they believe, at least for some, emotionally sure. For those hooked on TV, Hollywood, and the mainstream media propaganda, they're getting emotionally charged ideas fed to them every day by politicians, gatekeepers, and celebrities constantly telling them what they should be angry about. This constant feeding of information to their brains gives the issues a feeling of authenticity, importance, and reality, which would not be there otherwise. Millions of Americans have chosen the path of emotion and have taken positions on issues that feel good. This, my friends, is mass mind control we're observing in real time, and we're about to see how dangerous it can get real soon. I would only just add to that the people like Black Lives Matter supporters and others, those people are seriously brainwashed. And I know that's kind of a strong word, some people don't identify with that, but mind control and brainwashing is really basically the same thing. They are being mind controlled. We're all mind controlled and brainwashed to a certain extent. It's just that many people aren't even aware of it. And I think this little paragraph here does a good job of summing up what's actually going on. And just to further illustrate the point I was making there, today I put out several articles on my Facebook page. Here's one. This demonstrates the mind control that these people are under. George Soros-funded domestic terror group Disrupt J20, J20 meaning January 20, plans to shut down Donald Trump's inauguration. Next article. More than 5,000 pro-Trump bikers will form a wall at the inauguration and go head-to-head with any violent protesters. Next article. Trump inauguration boycott grows to 19 Democrat lawmakers. Congressmen will not attend after the Donald's feud with civil rights hero John Lewis, who said he will not be a legitimate president. And report. Protesters to disrupt inauguration, plans blockades, and property damage. This Disrupt J20 is already a hashtag. I'm sure it will be trending on and off all week on Twitter. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to see more and more of. These intelligence agencies who are issuing these warnings to Trump that he can't be trusted and so forth. CIA director warns Trump to watch what he says, be careful on Russia. What I do find outrageous is equating intelligence community with Nazi Germany. So he says, this is John Brennan. CIA Director John Brennan on Sunday had a stern parting message for Republican Trump days before he assumes the U.S. presidency, cautioning him against loosening sanctions on Russia and warning him to watch what he says. These people like war. They're warmongers. And John Brennan is a neocon in the style of a Bush or someone like that. But their goal here is to set Trump up in such a way as to frame it so that he cannot be trusted. And it sets up the impeachment proceedings later that will surely come as soon as they can possibly manage it. Okay, well, getting away from political earthquakes, let's talk about some real earthquakes and what's going on in the world right now and what's to be expected in the coming next few days. I was able to get the new feeds installed for Earthquake 3D. Click on the feeds button here. You'll see I've got the full collection of feeds here for the most part. I think I might be missing one or so, but anyway, these are the new feeds that Dutchsinse and his team have put together, and you can really narrow things down. Like if you want to just see earthquake activity reported from the Iceland Bureau on just Iceland, you can isolate just that part, or just Mexico, or just Canada. So it's nice to have some of these other feeds, because what we're finding out is that the USGS is not very honest about some of its earthquake reporting, and they can't be trusted. Now, that's not to say some of the information that they put out isn't true. Of course it is. But not all of it is, and the worst part is it's what they leave out. They don't report certain quakes, or they downgrade quakes that happen for whatever reason. They shave a few points off, or maybe even a full magnitude or more sometimes. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, Dutch and his team have sort of overcome that idea by adding some of these new feeds in here. So we can take a look at things like the global feed that's magnitude 2.0 and greater for the whole last week. That's what I've got pulled up right now, actually. And we're only looking at about the last 2 days. And this shows everything from magnitude 2.0 up as high as it goes. And as you can see, we've had some significant earthquake activity. No really huge ones in the last couple of days, but as I kind of back this off, you'll see that they increase in size. Some of them are pretty big. Now that's showing 1,754 quakes, but that's all feeds. That's all global feeds that we have access to, not just USGS, but all of them that were in that list that I showed you. So, but one of the neat, interesting things that they've added to the feed list here is Dutchsinse's own forecasts. And I think this is really neat, because I'm going to include this in the Diamond Report as I do these, because I can quickly pull up this feed and it will show what we're looking at here is not earthquakes that have happened yet. I want to make that very clear. These earthquakes on this map now have not happened yet. But these are Dutchsinse's own predictions. So all credit goes back to Dutchsinse. I would definitely recommend following him on YouTube. He puts out daily and sometimes more than once a day earthquake forecasts and synopsis as to what all is happening globally with unrest, volcanic activity, and plate movement across the globe all the time. He's working 7 days a week. So am I, for that matter. So what we're seeing here are Dutch's earthquakes that he is forecasting. And first, let me point out that there's an issue with the feed here. This one on Antarctica is not really, that did not happen or won't happen. That's not even a forecast. That's just an error. I'm not sure what that's all about. But that just kind of showed up on the feed. But let me kind of get back into what he's actually saying is going to happen in the next few days, week or so. Now, these are based on lots of different criteria that he bases these forecasts on, okay? So if you don't follow him, this may not really make a whole lot of sense, but if you do follow him, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. First of all, you can see right here in the United States, he's forecasting a magnitude 6.8 or so. Now, it could vary a little bit from there, but that's a pretty good sized quake. Magnitude 6.8 in the Northern California, Southern Oregon region. This is what's known as the Gorda Escarpment. And so he's saying that within the next few days to a week or so, we should be expecting a 6.8 to happen out to sea in Northern California, Southern Oregon. And that's significant because of what that triggers after this happens. And you will see basically like a run of other earthquakes happen down the North American Craton, which is going to go basically down the Rocky Mountains, down here through this green area, in Texas and all the way up here through the New Madrid seismic zone and down, and then on up the East Coast. So what this is kind of showing here is that this is the start of a whole new wave of movement. We're going to see Oklahoma move later in the week. After this happens, Oklahoma will move. Some places along the eastern seaboard, the ridge of the North American Craton, that will move. So it's just a kind of a warning as to what's coming up over the next few days. So that's 6.8 is pretty good size. That could trigger some 3s and maybe even 4s back this way in the west. It just kind of depends, and you can follow Dutch to get the lowdown on what's going to happen beyond the 6.8 that happens. But you can see that he's saying here too that, well, this 5.5 in Central America, he's showing that as on land or possibly in the ocean. And then this 5.8 he's kind of put on the border here between Colombia and Ecuador. That means it could be kind of either one, and just to look for that. But that's significant because it's 5.8 on land. That's pretty good size. As we rotate around this way, we see a few other quakes, right? And so he's calling for a 4.9 in Italy. That's pretty good size. As we get over here, these are what I really wanted to show you, because this is very important, and some of the factors involved in this were from the 7.3 really deep earthquake that happened several days back now. And these that he's predicting or forecasting are based on that 7.3. Let me turn the rings down so you can see what's going on. First of all, he's calling for potentially an 8.3 to 9.3 in this area of Indonesia. And if we pull up Google Earth, let me show you where that is. He's saying about right in here, roughly, which is the area between Sumatra and Java. Here's Jakarta. It's Indonesia. So anyway, he's saying that area right there, we're looking at possibly an 8.3 to 9.3 in that range. That is huge. And you can tell by look at the full-size rings. I mean, this is literally, it's just like off the planet huge. And again, this one down here at the South Pole is nothing. Don't just ignore that. I can't get that off the screen. But you can see how massive, even the 8.3, it's just massive. It's huge. So if that happens, if it happens out to sea, we could be looking at a tsunami. It's very possible. If it happens on land, it's going to level whatever it hits. So let's pray it's out to sea, and let's pray if there's a tsunami that it doesn't affect anyone, But in 2011, the 9 point whatever it was that happened that caused the Fukushima disaster, that was a huge wall of water, and it ended up killing 15,000 people or so in Japan. So this is a potential big one right here. And speaking of Japan, he's also calling for an 8.3 in the southern range here of Japan. And to look what that is, let's just look that up real quick. That is the Kyushu area of Japan. So he's saying that an 8.3 is likely to strike in that area, right off the coast of Japan in the ocean. But again, that could potentially be a tsunami. So we're just going to have to watch that very closely. And then the other smaller quake is still a 6.3, which is good size. He's showing is happening on land here on the eastern ridge of Nepal. This one, this country right here is Nepal, this sort of rectangular looking one. He's showing it kind of happening there, or maybe in between Nepal and this is part of India right through here. This is Bangladesh and Bhutan, but it's looking like he's talking about on the border between Nepal and India. So we'll have to watch for that as well, because that 6.3, I think it was a 7 point something a year or two ago, whenever that was, that wrecked a big chunk of Nepal. So, 6.3 is 10 times less, but it's still pretty darn big to be happening on land. And the people in this area aren't prepared for that. So, whereas Japan, they're used to movement and they can prepare, but a tsunami, that's a pretty hard thing to prepare for as well. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. This feed is pretty interesting because it shows Dutch's forecast, and he is 90-some% accurate. I don't know the exact number. I'm not sure he does either, but he's very accurate. I do earthquake forecasting myself, but I feel like he's doing it so much now. I don't really feel like I should be doubling up on what he's doing, and he's so much better at it than I am. He's studied it a lot longer and knows a lot more about it. Everything I know about it, I know from him, as far as just watching his videos. I don't know him personally, but anyway, I just wanted you all to be aware of that and just to be watching for these things. Again, we're looking at not quakes that have happened yet. This is a forecast. Okay, one last thing before we go today. I want to take you over to one of my favorite websites, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I happen to be the webmaster for geoengineeringwatch.org, which is Dane Wigington's website. Dane's one of my very best friends, and I love his work. I think it's impeccable, and his research is absolutely amazing. And I've learned so much from him, and I'm honored to be part of his team. But I wanted to let everyone know that he does a weekly radio show as well, and if you're missing it, you're really missing out. But it's called Geoengineering Watch Global Alert News, and it's on the terrestrial radio in Northern California and in other places each Saturday morning. It can be found on various other radio stations, but the main thing is you can go to the website and listen to the show if you don't happen to live in an area where the show is. So this is the one for this last Saturday. And if you just go to this page, you can listen to it right here. And I do these YouTube videos for him each week after we're done. He records a show and sends me the audio, and I do a quick mastering and sort of final polish, and then do the YouTube video for him, and he puts that out every Saturday. So just watch for that. Highly recommended. This week, Winter Storm Jupiter is the latest example of weather warfare being waged against the U.S. population by their own government and their own military. This most recent theatrically named manufactured ice storm truly reflects the growing desperation of the climate engineers. Desperation is also the driving force behind the power structure's continuing demonization of Russia as the military-industrial juggernaut of destruction runs out of options. Yet another senior Russian diplomat is found dead, this time in Athens, Greece. Walmart is laying off, as is Boeing. The cost of the remaining fish from dying oceans is getting inconceivably high in some cases. A Japanese fish buyer has just paid $636,000 for a single tuna. The New York Times discloses that the White House is urging geoengineering as an option to, quote, combat global warming. The Times made this statement as if illegal climate engineering has not already been going on for 70 years and inflicting unimaginable decimation to the planet and the entire web of life. What is this highly toxic climate engineering fallout doing to us? Yet more respiratory distress epidemics are clogging hospitals, this time in the UK. The latest installment of Global Alert News is below. The battle for the greater good has already been unimaginably long and arduous for all those that are truly committed to it. But now more than ever, we must keep our stride. Now more than ever, we must make our voices heard. I couldn't agree more. Again, if you know me on Facebook, you've probably seen the bumper stickers that I offer people free of charge. Just send me a message on Facebook or send me an email. You can email me at doug@lostartsradio.com. That will reach me as well. So send me a message and I will send you some bumper stickers free of charge. I don't care about the money. I just want to get the word out. So thanks again for listening and watching to the Diamond Report, and we'll see you next time.